While everyone is celebrating the brand new map rotation in Valorant, there might be some questions raised about what agents are best in the current meta right now. That's why we have the official Valorant tier list by SkillCapped here today to get you all caught up on any changes, so that you know exactly who you should be playing on both LOTUS and the new split. Things may have changed since the last time you saw our tier list, so stick with us as we keep you posted on the best agents. And let's jump right into it. Starting out with the first change made recently, which is how easy it is to rank up now in Valorant. It's become significantly easier to gain rank now, thanks to the brand new Ask a Pro feature in the SkillCapped community Discord. Starting last week, all SkillCapped website subscribers, once verified, will have direct access to our coaches, being able to ask them any questions they want regarding their gameplay and even get their own games reviewed. Remember, all these games reviewed are also uploaded to the website in full, so not only can you get your own gameplay critiqued, but you can also see the advice given to every other player within your rank. This is incredible because most players struggle with the same issues, so you can easily hear all the best advice that worked for other players and apply it to your own gameplay. Oh yeah, along with this, we also have a bunch of brand new courses teaching all the most important concepts that players need to master in Valorant. Get started today at SkillCapped, and we'll see you there. Starting off our tier list with the familiar though, who would have guessed that Viper would still be incredible? With Breeze and Bind making their way out of the rotation, many players have commented that these are some of Viper's best maps. While they aren't wrong, what they fail to realize is that Split was great for Viper before as well, and LOTUS is no different. Viper's toolkit is just so perfect for a controller, being able to stall a push so effectively while also providing her team with excellent default options. Viper will pretty much always be the queen of the meta. Remember that time they tried to provide her with competition with Harbor? Yeah, we all know how that worked out. The queen of controllers is here to stay for now and will remain our only agent in the S tier. We do have some new agents making their way into the scene though. After the chamber nerfs and with the introduction of the new maps, Killjoy is seeming way stronger than people may have expected. Many players have noticed how valuable she actually is on Pearl with so many great lockdown locations, but she's also pretty great on Lotus and Split as well. Her setups on Split actually used to be a staple in the Split meta, basically just throwing any player in a toaster oven when they tried to push her anywhere on the map. Be it B Heaven, A site, or B site, she was always able to lock down the map in a very frustrating way, and for that, Killjoy is going to remain an excellent pick in the meta. Another Sentinel here to share the spotlight with Killjoy is actually Sage, who was also pretty prominent in the Split meta. Sage's win rate actually has always been pretty crazy, generally boasting one of the top win rates in the game across almost all ranks. This might be kind of a shocker to some since Sage never really seems like a priority pick in matchmaking, but if you think about it, she actually drastically changes how any game is played. She changes how you attack sites or how you position on defense due to the sheer value that her wall provides. You can do things like sneak a plant on the corner of a site, as you've seen on Icebox time and time again, and with any other agent, this isn't really something you can do. Because she changes how the game is played, she actually forces players to adapt, and this is why we believe her win rate is so high, because players in Valorant generally struggle when forced to adapt. For her past effectiveness on Split, as well as her ability to cheat the game with her wall, she is definitely going to be very strong in the Lotus meta on release, allowing her to squeak her way into the A tier. Moving on, one of the only agent changes we're seeing this patch actually has to do with Omen's ability to place one-ways and walls all over the map. By placing a one-way smoke in the wall, Omen used to be able to see the enemy's feet before they could ever see him, allowing him to pick up some easy kills. Unfortunately, he can no longer place these smokes directly inside of walls, which does limit his options a bit, but he's still able to place one-ways on top of pillars, which is basically all he really needs. Most players weren't actually throwing smokes directly inside of walls throughout the course of the game, and although this may hurt a few setups that players ran on individual maps, it by no means guts the agent. Omen still has one of the best abilities in his game via Paranoia, and his smokes are still excellent due to their refresh rate. Omen is a very versatile controller, and easily one of the best for matchmaking right now. He was arguably one of the best controllers on Split back when it was active in the map pool, and with all the narrow corridors on Lotus, he will likely be a very viable pick. Also, remember the larger the map, generally the more value his ultimate can provide. So with a map pool of Lotus, Haven, Pearl, Icebox, Omen is going to be a fantastic pick. Especially with Breeze exiting the map pool, arguably one of Omen's worst maps, he's got a very strong place in the meta right now. Next up, we've got Sova. Sova started his rise back to fame after the Fade nerfs, allowing him to actually have some sort of place in the meta. The problem was never that Sova was weak, it was always that Fade was just so strong. But now that her prowlers are made of paper mache, he doesn't have as hard of a time keeping up. His drone can gather info in a way that Fade really isn't capable of in the current state of the game, and his recon also is just a bit more difficult to deal with than Fade's haunt, giving him a really strong hold in the A tier for now. Especially after the breach nerfs, removing the damage that Aftershock does to lockdown, Sova is one of the best options for dealing with Killjoy right now. Now, although he is losing Bind and Breeze, bear with us because he'll probably be okay. Split, of course, was never his best map, and the new changes are likely not going to fix that, but Lotus actually looks promising. Although there are a lot of tall structures and corridors, there are also a ton of wallbang spots, so his recon value might actually be useful for farming kills through walls if used correctly. The other thing is, with 3 spike sites, it's going to be incredibly valuable to have this sort of quick info gathering that Sova provides to help teams take control of areas off the rip safely. At the end of the day, Sova provides a lot of info, and that's really what you're looking for as an initiator. He's easily one of the most versatile agents in the game and definitely earns himself a spot in the A tier. Let's talk a bit about duelists now though. We've got 2 duelists squeaking their way into the A tier right now, both very strong in their own right and have been since the game's release. First off, let's talk about Jett. Jett, after the chamber nerfs, has been favored a lot more, being one of the most versatile op agents in the game, while also having excellent entry capabilities and one of the best ultimates in the game. Her kit has always been amazing, even after the dash nerfs that came so long ago. The problem has always been chamber. People pick chamber as their op agent, and Jett lost value. After the chamber nerfs, that is happening a lot less, so Jett is beginning to rise again in prominence. Aside from Jett though, of course, we've also got Raze. With Split and Lotus coming back, Raze mains are going to be having a heyday, considering they both have a ton of close quarters areas where enemies can get stopped and killed by her paint shells and Showstopper. Although Bind is making its way out of the meta, which is one of Raze's best maps, what people may fail to remember is that Split was Raze's best map when it was in the game. The tight choke points along with the crazy elevation she could get for satchels from heaven on both sites, Raze was always an S tier pick on Split and will continue to be an A tier pick among all other maps for the time being. Let's continue down the duelist train though as we enter into the B tier. These are the agents that are all fantastic in their own right, but maybe won't be picked in a majority of matches. Neon is the first one to make the spotlight in the B tier, which hopefully makes some of you happier. Many people have been saying for months that Neon should be in our S tier, and while we wouldn't go that far, she definitely does have a place in the meta. Neon is fantastic and can complement a good initiator better than any other agent in the game. Especially in lower ranks, Neon players are probably running rampant with her extreme movement speed, but in higher ranks, she often gets punished for sloppy play and requires a bit more team coordination. While she is clearly one of the best duelists in the game shown by pro play, her ultimate is pretty subpar compared to a Jett, and she doesn't fare nearly as well on the defensive as she does when pushing aggressively, and for that reason, it can be kind of difficult to adapt your playstyle to what your team needs in solo queue. Not to say she's bad by any means, she definitely has her place, it just happens to be in the B tier. But that's actually fine. Basically an S tier duelist in pro play and a B tier duelist in matchmaking. Not every agent needs to be insane in all aspects of play. Funny enough, Yoru is kind of the opposite in many ways to Neon. Due to the lack of Yorus in matchmaking, a well-played Yoru can easily run a team over with insane flash lineups and teleport plays that most players just aren't prepared for. Unfortunately for him, preparation is where pro teams excel, and we have yet to really see a Yoru work in pro play. Nevertheless, he's still a great option if you know how to use him in matchmaking. Many players even saying that his ability kit is just absolutely overloaded. Even with this though, his stats are pretty horrible in matchmaking, so we will let you decide for yourself. It's been proven he's good in the right hands, you just gotta be honest with yourself if that's you. It has taken us a bit of time to get another controller on this list after we saw Viper and Omen. Surely there are other options, right? Most of you are probably expecting us to say Brimstone, but believe it or not, Astra is actually making her way back into the meta, especially with the release of the new maps. She was excellent on Split previously, and will also be great on Lotus, once again taking advantage of how large the map is in a way that Brimstone and Viper can't really. Astra really thrives on these maps with lots of corridors to hit enemies with gravity well, and Split and Lotus both provide this opportunity for her. While she is a bit clunkier for inexperienced players to play, Astra is still a very good option in the right hands, and we definitely recommend giving her a shot. Also, remember that we recently uploaded our unrated to diamond Astra climb to our website, where we walk you through the exact playstyle we use to climb to diamond step by step. So if you're really looking to master Astra in the coming act, then this is definitely the best way to do it. As for the next agent on the list, Cypher is in a pretty good place after the chamber nerfs. People seem to forget the Sentinel role was actually pretty balanced before chamber. With the buffs to his ultimate and the tuning on what will break his tripwires, Cypher will be really obnoxious to play against in the current meta, and although he isn't as noticeable as Killjoy might be with her ultimate and mollies, a good Cypher can really run the game with all he brings to his team. Tons of info, great lurks, and even the ability to set up some great traps, Cypher is still very playable. Stick with us now, because we're about to go down the initiator train. Pretty much all these initiators are interchangeable, and you can run any of them depending on the map. Skye on top. She was in a pretty good place on Split when we last saw it, and still sees some play on maps like Pearl and Ascent. Her heals are definitely nice, but she's by no means crazy. That being said, flashes in Valorant are one of the strongest pieces of utility in matchmaking, so being able to assist your team while also having having some kill potential yourself is very nice with Skye and makes her an entirely viable option for solo queue. Next, we have Fade coming in just after Skye. As we mentioned earlier, the nerfs hit her pretty hard and make it so easy to destroy her prowlers. That being said, she still does provide a very large amount of info and just has a whole lot of utility she can throw out, so she's still got plenty going for her. She's great on pretty much every map and provides a ton of combo value with agents like Raze, Yoru, or honestly really any agent. Her utility is just that powerful. Finally, for the last agent in B tier, we have Kayo. Kayo is actually really valuable and debatably one of the best agents in the game. Basically, the stronger abilities are in Valorant, the stronger Kayo is going to be, but unfortunately, he lacks a bit of carry potential that prevents him from being an S tier pick in matchmaking. He has consistently one of the most atrocious win rates in the game, and despite his flash, he is one of the most difficult agents to climb with due to his high skill ceiling. Sure, a well-timed knife can shut down an entire push, but sometimes it's actually difficult to get the full value out of it, which can render him pretty underwhelming. For that reason, Kayo finds himself pretty low on the tier list, but still not terrible. As we said, he's incredibly strong, it's just hard to play him to his full potential in ranked. Alright, now starting off our C tier and finishing off our initiators, we have Breach. Breach is a great support on Fracture, Haven, Split, and he will likely be really good on Lotus due to the long and narrow corridors on the map. Although Breach feels oppressive to play against, he unfortunately doesn't really have a lot of actual carry potential on his own. The best played Breach is oftentimes used as the right-hand man to an entry fragger, but if you don't have that entry fragger, you're kinda just a guy with 2 average flashes. For that, Breach finds himself in the C tier. Nearing the end of our list, we'll talk about the last 2 controllers. Brimstone is alright. He's kinda just Brimstone. Not too bad, not too great. He's playable on pretty much every map and has one of the best plants in the game, but unfortunately that's not always that relevant in matchmaking. Most of the time you're either getting stomp or you're stomping them, so the opportunities you'll find to really carry a post plant as Brim are pretty slim. His ultimate is still pretty good though, so at least he's got that going for him. One thing is for sure, he's definitely better than Harbor. Unfortunately, Harbor isn't in a great place right now. He was meant to be served as an alternative to Viper, but kinda fell short of that so far. His main issue being he doesn't have much of a post plant. He'll probably be pretty decent on Split, and seems like he has some use on Lotus, but for the most part, it's unlikely that he'll go from being below average on most maps to God tier on the new ones. He'll likely remain to be playable, but not great. Harbor, along with these last 3 agents though, are all kind of in the same boat. You can play them, but they don't offer anything crazy to the team in the current state of the game. Of course, the next agent we're talking about is Phoenix. Phoenix is cool. There's 3 ultimate orbs on Lotus, so he could potentially get his ultimate a lot, but he doesn't really do anything special. He's just alright. Same thing actually goes for Chamber after the nerfs. He's not entirely gutted, you can still pick him, but why pick Chamber over Jett right now? There's not a lot of reason. He actually shares the same place in the meta as Reyna right now too. They both offer a dismiss ability that allows them to get out of combat almost instantly, which is great, but at the end of the day, Jett brings that to the table too, and so much more. So they will be the ones to finish off the tier list this week. Remember though, if you're looking to master any of these agents mentioned, SkillCapped has got you covered. Believe it or not, we're the only service on the market that breaks down actual gameplay for you to improve from watching. We take a look at viewer-submitted VOD reviews, have recorded coaching sessions for our viewers, and even get our hands dirty climbing out of elo hell so we can show you guys exactly how to take advantage of your opponent's mistakes. As we mentioned over on the Discord recently, you can even get immediate access to our Radiant staff, where they will give you pointers on any part of the game you feel you're struggling with. These are features you can't find anywhere else, so be sure to check out SkillCapped, link in the description below. Other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.